I'm Oleh Baturin. I work as a journalist for the Kherson regional newspaper Новий День, New Day, and as a head of the non-governmental organization Европростор. I cover the events in the Kherson region. I do a lot of journalistic investigations. I wrote a lot about human rights violations in the Crimea. I covered the events in Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. I am also a member of FIPRES-C. When I have time, I write about culture and cinema. I was at home. We woke up to strong explosions at about 5 o'clock in the morning. A few hours later, I learned that the Russians had destroyed the military unit near the Novokakhovka town, the town of Novokakhovka, with missiles about 12 kilometers from my house, and on the same day captured the Kakhovka hydroelectric power station. I immediately went on the social network and watched Vladimir Putin's address to Russian people. It was then that I realized that the war had begun. Within hours of the war, all roads in my town were blocked, and the Russians began firing on civilians, people trying to escape. At the time, I had no idea to run away. I had to stay put and keep doing my job. The realization that this is becoming more and more dangerous came to me only later. On 4 or 5 March, the editorial office of my newspaper was forced to suspend its activities and shut down the site. However, I continued to do my work on other sites and report important and proven information on social networks. It's about my work. I'm working. Yes, I have written and continue to write about what I have witnessed. I also write information about how our communities live and survived in conditions of war and occupation. I do not write only about my own experience during the captivity, but I am happy to tell my colleagues about it. The main problems are the lack of internet and mobile communications, which are constantly being destroyed by the Russian occupiers. Danger of physical violence of journalists and mayors and citizen people, pressure on the editorial offices in order to force them to switch to the occupation authorities, suspension of media for the same reason, lack of time, because a lot of time is spent on survival. You have to stand in huge queues to buy bread and other products in my town. in Ukraine, the war made it impossible for the media to operate in the occupied territories. All my colleagues who continue to work here are real heroes. They look for opportunities to convey information to their target audience, work in extremely difficult conditions, under constant threat of being abducted or killed. Russia, as an occupying country, does not need journalists. And the situation with freedom of speech in Russia now only confirms this. Work as carefully as possible and can convey verified information about what is happening in my region to the people of the region and to all of Ukraine and the world. And after all, journalists differ from officials and propagandists, both on the Ukrainian and Russian sides. By checked information, it is extremely difficult to remain faithful to the profession of journalist in conditions of war and occupation. But it is possible and very necessary. I cannot betray, first of all, my audience, the residents of the Kherson region, who trust me and who need reliable information like a breath of fresh air. Propaganda is on the other sides from Russian propaganda and the Ukrainian propaganda, but there is an opportunity to work and verify information. I think this is possible because there are representatives of local authorities who continue to work. There are witnesses to certain events. So it is extremely difficult, but it's possible.